All right, what's going on, everybody? Sorry about that previous issue with the live. We had an encoding error. But how's it going, everybody? I'm Judge. We are back at it again with the Toe Talk Break Room. We got some familiar faces. We got some new faces. We got some ugly faces. And sure the hell ain't got no pretty ones. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it and let everybody introduce themselves once again. I'm Judge. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. I own Citywide Towing. I've been in the industry my entire life. I've been doing it professionally since I was 16 years old. We're going to go ahead and move on down the line. Looks like we got Danny in the house once again. Danny, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hi everyone, I'm Danny out of Idaho Falls. I drive for Dynamic Towing. I've been in a truck for almost 6 years. I've been raised up in the industry almost my whole life with doing other odd and end jobs. I drive a 4-door International, and it snowed here last night.
Gotta love that snow. It's been keeping me busy for the past 2 days.
Right.
NJ Toe Junkie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I got it, baby. What's going on, people? My name is Matt. I am out of Williamstown, New Jersey. I work for a company out here from like, and I am heavy scene, but technically I can't drive the heavies, but it is what it is. Probably been doing this about 7 years.
All right. We got Bam Bam. Go ahead, sir.
Name's Bam Bam. Real name's Dakota. I'm out of good old Dallas, Texas, the Lone Star State. Drive HBL Towing and Recovery, and I'll drive anything we got. Snatch truck, flatbed, medium duty rollback, heavy duty rollback, rotator, land off, bus trailer, you name it. I've been in the industry 15 years and counting.
All right.
Only things in Texas, queers and queers, and I don't see no horns on you.
Carl, your turn, sir.
I'm Carl. I'm out of Chicagoland area. I generally run a flatbed, so I can run self-loader as well. I've been doing it for about a year.
All right. Hey, North. Your camera's having a little issue there, bud.
He's in BFE right now.
Okay. Well,
so he's going to have some connection issues.
All right. Well, we can come back to him. That one toe guy, or that toe guy one, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, I'm Zach. Also out of Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm training a new driver tonight. His name is Dewey.
I'm the fat bastard.
Yeah, the fat bastard. But yeah, so I've been in the industry about 2 years.
North has left the channel.
Pretty much that's it.
All right, cool. Well, would Dewey like to introduce himself a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm Dewey. I've been towing. I towed about 10 years ago for like 3 years, and then I did a bunch of shit for a while. Now I'm towing again. So I run emergency out of Salt Lake. Aaron's towing out of Salt Lake, and Aaron towing in recovery out of Salt Lake, and now Alpha.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, kind of recap a little bit here. So kind of going through the subjects real quick. We have prank calls, telemarketers, opinions on what trucks make better recoveries, tips and tricks for recoveries, when to use snatch blocks, arriving on scene step by step, when and when not to use your caution lights. I think that's a big one. Dealing with complicated recoveries, pricing high to low, how it varies, why it varies, and then last but not least, questions to the general public as always. Let's go ahead and get on to the first subject: prank calls and telemarketers. Personally, they're a pain in the ass. They cost time, money, and resources.
We're gonna get stuck down
Um,
here.
there's a lot of us like myself. I will do first come first serve. Depending on the situation, I may throw a priority ahead of a roadside call. So if you call me, say, hey, I got kids in the car and I'm on the freeway and I'm broke down, I'm gonna make you priority. But if you call me and tell me that, and I show up and then you don't answer your phone and you're not in the area that you say that you're in, that takes my time, my money, and my resources from the other job that could have an actual situation to go and screw around because you think it's funny. I don't know about everywhere, but in the state of Utah, I have your number. I can report that to local law enforcement, and you guys can get charged with theft of services, which is a Class B misdemeanor. Depending on the fees,
Yes.
it can go up to a felony. Danny, your take on prank calls and telemarketers.
So prank calls and telemarketers. So prank calls, I get some every now and then. I end up answering the phone and take the information down, and most of the time the information doesn't even sound accurate. So I end up sending all the information over to my boss, and if he can't get a hold of the customer and it reroutes to a different number, we send it in to the police department and let them figure it out from there on the prank call stuff. Because, like you were saying, we don't have time to deal with that stuff. We got other stuff we need to take care of, if police calls and stuff like that. Um, Telemarketers, we get not really that much of. Sometimes it's like selling stuff or your truck warranty type of thing. When if the truck's so old, it's not even going to have a warranty on it anymore from manufacturer.
My
And
biggest thing that
so,
really pisses me off with telemarketers is, hey, we've got you pre-qualified for $90,000 to go buy you new equipment. And then you're like, okay, cool.
right.
How did you pre-qualify me? Oh well, we just based it off the general income of the average tow company in your area. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was public information, but did you know that I run a crew of 3 and I make a less than a quarter of what the other guys make? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, if that's not the case, click, and it's like, I don't even waste my time. If you call me and you
Oh
want to
yeah.
sell me something, I'm just gonna hang up on you because you're tying up my phone line.
Yep.
Something else for you to kill.
Yeah.
All right, Danny, I appreciate that. Matt, what's your take
You
on
bet.
this?
My take on this.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Telemarketers, yeah, they are a pain. My day, if I'm at the shop all day, let's say I don't get, I got to stick around and hold the fort down at the shop at the office. I will tell you that probably 65% of the phone calls that we receive are telemarketers. I probably waste about a half an hour a day answering these phone calls. Add it all up. That's from walking to the phone and walking back to whatever I was doing. As far as prank calls go, we don't really pay it no mind, because if it's going to be something to where, after you've been in the industry for a while and you've kind of gotten a feel on how people talk and their tone and stuff like that, and the information they give, we'll take a credit card up front. So that way, my truck goes out, he's already paid.
Well, what
Now,
if?
as far as getting out there without payment and nobody around, guess what? Come back to the shop, because quite honestly, the most I'll be away from the shop is probably about 45 minutes. If I'm further than that, boss will reach out and we'll see what he could do. Get in touch with him. And in that time, I'll look around, see what I got going on. Hey, spend some gas. It ain't really a big deal, because our rates are pretty high to some people. So we make it up in the end. We don't get too many bogus calls.
All right. Bam Bam, what's your take on this?
Oh, we don't deal with prank calls or telemarketers for that fact. The only people that call our phone are police jurisdictions, municipalities. So I really ain't got any feedback on this, because like I said, we only deal with police stuff. We don't do private tows. We don't do roadsides or any of that. So
Okay. Carl?
So, as most of y'all know, I sit in a truck pretty much my entire shift. The only thing I use for calling is my phone to call the customer to let them know my ETA. I have nothing really with this because I'm never in dispatch or in the office.
I mean, have you being in the truck? Have you ever had did you ever have to go out to a prank call?
Possibly. It might have been like a AAA or something like that, but we just mark them as a GOA. We still get paid for them.
But I want to add something at the end, though. Just remember that.
All right, go ahead.
The like, if people watch this and they're actually paying attention, if you get another tow company and they're able to get to you faster, please call the other company back, please.
Yeah.
You have no idea what the cost and wear and tear on the truck is by wasting time going out to a ghost call.
I agree.
Or another call that we could have taken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or we have a highway call and, it could be a wreck. It could be like a 6-car pileup. Guess what? It's all hands on deck right there in most companies. So that's an extra person that won't be going to that scene and clearing up the highway for you impatient drivers. You know who you are.
Truth.
Hey, Zach, do you got anything to say on this comment? I know you don't typically do a whole lot in retail / cash calls.
I don't do a lot in like retail cash calls, but I do get the telemarketer stuff whenever I do have phones transferred to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have gotten the ones where they're calling about the truck's extended warranty and shit. Well,
right.
Good thing is my truck has warranty from the factory, so I don't have to worry about that, or at least I shouldn't. And I don't own the company, so I don't need to pay for freaking warranty. So usually I'll just hang up on them and I'll block the number. Yeah, they're gonna call me from another number in a week, but it's
I mean,
and
what about as far as like maybe a prank call? Because I mean, we understand that you're more on the non-consensual private property side of things. Have you ever gotten a call from an apartment complex that, hey, so and so's parked in my spot, and come to find out you get there, there's nobody parked in that spot?
I usually just chop those up as the person already moved by the time I got there. And the same thing that goes for Tow Junkie on that is if the car moves, please call us back and let us know, because I find it hilarious that every time that I get a call for like a stall call or something, that I'll go all the way out there and I'm only like 10 minutes away from it. I'll get out there, and sure enough, that car is going to be gone. They're going to be parked in that stall, and I just wasted my time.
Right. Matt, you had something else to add to that?
I did.
You did. Okay.
He forgot it. All right.
All right. Okay. So this one, I don't really have a whole lot to say on opinions on what trucks make better recoveries. It all depends on the situation. It all depends on the recovery. You
And
know,
the operator.
in the operator. I mean, there's some things that I mean, like a simple winch out. There's a lot of winch outs that I can do with my pickup. But like last night, there was one that was in a ravine, and without causing damage, I had to use a wheel lift. If I had a wrecker or an auto loader or something to that nature, it would have made the job a hell of a lot easier. But I mean, like I said, it's case by case basis. Danny.
Yes.
What's your take on it? Trucks. Opinion on what truck makes better recoveries.
I mean, it honestly it depends on what situation you're in. Honestly, if you know how to run a truck, even if it's a boom truck, a wheel lift, a flatbed, I mean, it's all almost the same common sense on each piece of equipment that you're running. But I mean, you have to look at it at different ways on how you can run it off a flatbed, of how much strain you can put on the bed and the frame and everything, include from doing a rotator or a boom truck. I mean, you can use the same concepts all together on different trucks, but you just got to know exactly how it's going to work, and you got to know what your truck's doing and how it's acting to the limit that you're pushing it to before something ends up going wrong.
Right. All right. Matt, you had something to say on this aspect? You're muted, sir.
Were you talking to me?
No, I was talking to Matt.
Oh.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, sweet. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome to the break room, Shane. You're good, bud. Not a problem at all. You're here in chat. That's good enough for me. Go ahead, Matt.
All right. Right now I'm just trying to find a picture to better explain. I don't know if I'll find it, but I think I passed it. But it definitely does come down to the situation and the type of truck that you're gonna send out. Um, quite honestly, I mean, if it's something that I don't know, man, like there are some times where you're going to need the wrecker. So, I mean, I've done a lot of recoveries with the flatbed. So, I mean, it's definitely case by case scenario. And then, exactly what I said, adding on to yours, was that, it comes down to the operator. Does he know how to use that truck at its full potential? Do you even know what the full potential of your truck can do? Do you know how to manipulate the truck? I'm telling you, it's in here somewhere.
Well, if you find it, just let me know and we'll come back to you. Bam Bam, your turn, sir.
It's a case by case scenario. There's some things a twin line recovery truck can do that flatbeds can't. You can't put a flatbed behind a house and try to do a recovery down a ravine. It just ain't gonna happen. Yeah, you can put a twin line recovery truck, aka wrecker or wheel lift or sling truck or whatever you want to call them, behind a house easier than you can a flatbed.
Right.
But yet again, if you have the right operator on scene with enough equipment, enough cable, enough knowledge of physics and angles, and know exactly what your truck can and can't do, flatbed could do it.
Right.
But yet again, all depends on the driver. How much knowledge does that driver have? How much knowledge does that driver have on that piece of equipment that he's in?
Right. I think that also has a lot to do with what is the equipment's capabilities, because I mean you're not going to go out and take a twin line self loader 5500 or whatever to a heavy a heavy rollover, and just like you're not going to take a heavy wrecker to a light duty rollover. Not saying that it hasn't been done and people haven't, but it's not cost effective. You're wasting money by taking that heavy duty wrecker out to a automotive club. But there's also again situational aspects of things where it may require having that heavy wrecker. Car fell in this a swimming pool. They drove through a fence, and well, maybe you can't get what you need over the house or over the fence or over the tree or what have you. So the situation may call for you know extra equipment. Carl?
I mean, out of all honesty, personal opinion, it's what the truck is capable of, what the operator is capable of, and what you have on hand. Me personally, I have one truck I run. I don't really run anything else. My company doesn't really allow it. I'm stuck in a flatbed all day. Also, it has to do with the equipment you have on the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Carrying your snatch blocks. If you don't have enough winch, you've got extra chain, etc. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to reach it. It's basically what you have on hand, the capability of the truck, and what you know.
Exactly. Zach, you got anything to add to this?
Actually, I do. So it does depend on like the situation as well. But I went on a police call 3 or 4 months ago that was a train versus car accident, and where I had to drive my wrecker too. You wouldn't have been able to get a flatbed or anything there to actually be able to get that car out from where it was at. And so the best point was that I had a wheel lift truck and not a flatbed at that point. Now, if the car was in worse condition than when I got there, I would have probably had to have a flatbed to tow it to get it back to my yard. But the car wasn't in that bad of shape to do it.
I remember that call. They called me first. You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun one.
All right. Looks like Matt, you were able to get that photo, correct?
Yeah.
What's that?
See, here's a tricky one though. Would you guys send out a wrecker or a flatbed for this?
Either one, in my opinion. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because it looks like you might have a box or something right there. I'm not sure what that is. But I mean, depends on how tight the situation is. I mean, that one would most certainly be. I mean, in my opinion, it would be easier in a flatbed because you can just kind of scoop it up, lift it up, pull it forward, and drop it down. But I mean, there's also ways that you could do that in a wheel lift and a wrecker as well.
Okay.
Done that in a flatbed all day.
Yeah. I got a really good example for a flatbed.
And I also had one that I was trying to find. I had a car that was up on a snowbank.
Kind of like the one that I had last night that I was referring to.
No, like a snow pile in a parking lot.
Oh.
I mean, this thing had to have been probably about maybe 7, 8 feet tall. That I would not do with a wrecker. Absolutely not.
All right. Well, moving on. Tips and tricks for recoveries. That one's going to be kind of a hard subject to go off of. Unless we had examples. I mean, I guess I can go into my example here. We're going to go into non-fatal accidents. We're going to go into what I had to deal with last night. So as you guys can see here, car slid down the road and into a snowbank. So, I mean, if everybody wants to go in and look, it's literally like 2 or 3 up and down fatal accident photos. I have a couple more photos. They're just not published or posted, and I'm not gonna go dig for them.
Hey,
But
hey, Judge,
yeah,
pull up. Can you pull up the photo I posted early Thursday morning? The van on top of the car.
that was a non-accident or non-fatal, right?
I believe so. I was asleep when I posted it.
Let me know where it's at, and I'll show them. So like this one here,
It's in photos.
I was going to attempt to just pull this straight back with a winch and my truck, because as of right now my wrecker is wrecked. Not really. It just blew the motor. Whatever dumbass thought it was a good idea to put the 5.4 Triton in the wrecker, I don't know, but they need their ass kicked.
Hey, Sean.
But we were going to just pull it straight back, but looking closer into it, not only was it up in the snowbank, there was also a rock underneath the front bumper. Well, let me rephrase that, a boulder underneath the front bumper. So if we would have just drug that straight back, it would have ripped off the bumper and caused damage. So that's when
That's the call you were waiting on for a while.
Yeah, I waited on that one for probably 2 hours waiting for the flatbed to come. But yeah, I can't just pull it straight back. And then photos, was it before or after Austin posted the little cartoon characters of his truck? Here's you some free promotion, by the way, Austin.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 up. Right after your skyline pictures.
Okay. All right. Photos.
Now let's talk about that, because that looks interesting.
We were in photos. They're in photos, right?
Yes.
Yesterday, 5 a.m.
I'm not seeing them for whatever reason. Okay, right there. Okay, we found them.
You got it?
Yep, we got them. I went a little too
The
far.
van on top of the car.
Yeah, so Bam Bam, let's talk about this for a minute. Go ahead.
Little backstory to set the scenery. This is inside of our apartment complex. The aisle is barely big enough for two little cars side by side. This dude claims he was backing out of a spot and didn't feel nothing until he was up in the air. This was a PD rotation call,
Okay.
so they called out a flatbed. I get there, and the way the car is leaning and the room I have, the only direction I can pull it is at an angle. Now, I'm very knowledgeable when it comes to my truck and every truck we have. So I told the officers, I said, look, one or two things are going to happen when I go to pull this. Either A, it's going to come down right, it's just going to roll down, or B, it's going to roll to that side that the wheel's in the air. Because I have no angle on it. I have no room to put my truck where I need to put it to pull straight with it, even if I snatch block it. So I ordered through rotation a heavy duty rotator.
Mm-hmm.
They sent out a heavy duty straight boom.
Okay.
So this operator from another company in our rotation, not my company, shows up and he was like, "You need a rotator." I said, "That's what I requested." Because a straight boom can't get where I need it to be. So 7 o'clock in the morning, this call originally came in at 4:30. Finally, at 7 o'clock in the morning, after 4 different heavies came out, they finally called the right company that has a rotator. After I told them after the first one, just call us, we have a rotator ready. So my rotator guy shows up at 7:30. Cops are pissed, fucking pissed. And the other company, flatbed, to get the car that van was sitting on top of, was pissed off too because they've been sitting there waiting. My rotator comes. We put the spreader bars on. And all he did was picked up the ass into that van, rotated it back towards the truck, and set it down, and I could load it. The officers on scene were pissed off because it took so long for them to call the right equipment. The flatbed driver that was there to get the car was like, "Why don't you just pull it? Why don't you just pull it?" And I was like, "I don't want to roll this van over. I won't roll. It won't roll. Okay. This is my scene, not yours. If this van rolls, it's on me." Because there was nothing wrong with the van. Nothing at all. A couple scratches on the back bumper where he climbed up the car. So officers filed a complaint that morning on me. And I had to deal with this whole fucking complaint this morning. I was not happy. But I took the lady in charge of the complaints back to our yard. We had 2 junk cars. I set it up the same way. Same position, same everything. And I pulled on it. And guess what happened to that junk car? Told her, I said, this is why I knew what I was doing. Another company would have got that one.
That
car
ally
had been
one
told.
has left the channel.
So it's also up to the operator to know what's out of his limits and what's not.
Right. All right. Carl. Carl. Okay, cool. When do you snatch blocks? Anytime you need to? Fuck, I don't know. I mean, I use them at least every other call, the way it seems. Having to pull a
A
car
lot.
sideways, having to pull a car out of a parking stall, having to pull a car side, up, one side or the other. Especially if the suspension's damaged, you have to, steer the car in, one way or the other. Whether that be, having to use a snatch block or having to use skates. Either way, you gotta figure it out somehow. Danny?
I use mine almost every day, depending on the situation I'm in. I mean, like you were saying, if you have to pull the car one way or another, or out of a stall, or say like it's in a driveway and you can't get to it with your truck, then you'd run the snatch block off the back of your bed and run the line out down the driveway, pull the car back out of the driveway so you can get to it to get it loaded up.
Right.
But
Well,
in that, go ahead.
um, I was just gonna try and maybe change the subject just a little bit. I mean, the
Well, I had
question.
something else to
I
go
mean,
with that.
it's still the same general concept, but I wanted to add to the subject.
Right.
Do you leave your snatch block on your winch cable all the time?
No.
Personally, me,
No.
no,
Nope.
I don't.
It comes right back off after I'm done using it.
Yep. All right, go ahead, Danny. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're good. This one, Toe Junkie could probably answer it more because I don't deal with heavy wreckers and stuff, but it involves with snatch blocks and everything like that. When when's the right time and stuff to use like a high pull and a low pull in a situation?
Well, that is probably going to be easily summed up, and I got something for that.
I mean, Bam Bam's here too.
Or yeah, or you can answer it too. I was just kind of curious because I know some people use it in a different way and stuff like that. So
All right.
So,
It depends on the situation when it comes to heavy duties with a high pull and a low pull.
Hey, Matt,
The
rotate your
main
phone. There you go.
Matt, is that a stuck forklift?
yes, that was.
Okay. So you explain
So,
first out.
so quite honestly, I was not running this. I was just a helping hand with the lines.
mm-hmm.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, that boom could have went up and out a little bit. But main reason why I came to this was the snatch block, because this thing's actually doing two separate jobs right now. It's changing the angle of the line and it's doubling back. So it's strengthening your line strength. Well, it's increasing the pulling power of the line itself. But this is one of those situations where you kind of want to come up and out. Now, there's times where you're going like rollovers. Say it was rolled over. Pretty much, you run these lines down, and you're running into a snatch block to the high side. So you're changing the direction of the line. Anytime you change the direction of the line, a snatch block should be implied.
So if you say like if you're running a high line and a low line at the same time, would that be for the weight distribution, say like on a semi trailer or something if you're rolling it back over?
The reason, anytime we do a tractor trailer rollover, it's two heavies and there's two high lines and two low lines.
Mm-hmm.
If we're rolling a tractor trailer back over, we have the two high lines going over the trailer, Christmas wrapping it.
Right.
And then we have a low line going from the horse head down to an outrigger back to the front axle or the rear axle, front axle and the rear axle of the trailer. So what the low line does is it digs those tires into the ground. The high line applies the lift. So when we high line it, we're digging down with the low line and up with the high line, and it will keep it from wanting to slide towards our area. So
Gotcha.
now I have, and I don't like to, but I've done a fully loaded tractor trailer rollover with one heavy. And with that, I was in the 9055, which is a 50-ton straight stick, and
Right.
I hated it because I had to use my two main lines for the lift. I had nothing digging into for the downpool, and it slid about 5 feet before it caught and came back over. So
Jeez.
when I did not like that at all. I had shut 3 lanes down instead of 2. But like I said, that
Go ahead.
but that's some sketchy shit. That's an operator that knows how to get the job done, and it can and knows the limits and the capabilities of his abilities along with the truck's abilities.
So what's the difference between a high pole to a low point versus a low point to a high pole? Does that make sense? So low point of tow vehicle to high point of disablement, or vice versa.
you got them all confused over there, Sean.
All right. So you said what again about?
So what's the difference between a low line high pole, so it's low on the tow vehicle but high on the disablement, or it's a high pole and a low?
That would do anything. Are you trying to ask what's the difference between a low pull and high pull?
So no. So your line, your winch cable, instead of having it on the top of your vehicle on your tow truck, you have a snatch block down coming to the top of the vehicle, like your rollover, for instance.
Your pension.
I'm trying to get you to explain to the viewers the difference in poles. Why would we do a high pole versus a low pole? Why would we go high on the tow vehicle and low on the disablement, or why would we go, vice versa?
Well, that's direction of the roll. That's what that sounds like. That's just which way do I want this thing to go?
Yeah.
So
if you're
so say for like an example. So if you're doing a semi trailer and you're starting already in the middle of your roll and the wall on the trailer starts breaking, how do you go about of supporting that area before you do any more damage to the trailer before it starts falling apart more?
So you're saying if you're mid,
guys, I don't mean to be a bother, but we got like another 15 minutes, and then I got to get the hell out of Dodge. I'm next up on PD rotation, which is a first on a Friday.
All right, well, we can wrap this up on our next live. We can come back to some more of it.
So, but yeah, sorry guys. I don't mean to cut it short. I'm next on rotation for PD, and with it snowing, they could call me in the next 2 minutes. They can call me in the next 2 hours. I don't know. But without further ado, guys, a couple things that we have to go over next time is what we do when we arrive on scene, step by step, kind of walk you through it. You know what? Before I take off, let's skip that one. Let's go to number 6. When and when not to use your caution light. Let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. If the call comes in, the call comes in, and then you'll just see me in the live and dip. So I'm gonna say goodbye to y'all ahead of time. But yeah, let's bring up this subject real quick. When and when not to use your caution lights, your beacons, your ambers, your red and blues, whatever color they are. Your emergency lights. We'll classify them under that. When and when not to use them. Personally, in the state of Utah, I use them when I'm on scene. That's it. On scene use only. I mean, the only time I'll run ambers is if the police department asks me to expedite, and I will kick on my amber lights and lay on the horn, helping the emergency lane, and I'll haul ass. But 99.9% of the time they're on scene. I mean, unless visibility's poor and I'm a big ass truck and they can't see me or whatever. I mean, I might kick on the beacons and heavy fog or a blizzard or something to that nature. But that's just me for Utah, Danny.
That pretty much goes the same down here. I mean, if I have to get to a scene quick, and if I'm getting escorted or something, or even meeting up with an officer and get escorted, they usually have me turn my lights on and blare my horn, depending on the situation and stuff, what code we're running, and everything like that. I mean, it varies, honestly.
Right. Matt.
Well, I could probably go on and on about this, but to keep it short, to keep it short and sweet. I mean, the only time you should be rolling with your lights on, um, me personally, when you're on scene, you're operating, or there is, if you have a dangerous load or something like that. I mean, I don't mean to say dangerous, but as far as
Oversight.
something can fall off or something like that, and you got to follow a vehicle, whatever, from the wreck scene. I mean, to me, that's the only real time that really needs to be used.
All right. Bam Bam.
Yeah, my thing. My company is split. Okay, there's 6 of our trucks that have strict amber lights only, and there's 6 of our trucks that have red and blues. Our trucks with red and blues respond to major accidents, and I had to have a meeting with my guys about this shit today. I got a fucking phone call from a sheriff saying, "Hey, why is your truck running code down the highway?" There's nothing on the screen, nothing. He was on his way to a broke down transit van and thought it was an emergency call. We wasn't requested by PD. We wasn't code 3 by PD. He wasn't on rotation for that zone he was in. My thing is, the trucks that have red and blues on them, only time those lights can be activated is A, you're requested by PD, you're requested code 3 by PD, or you're on scene. And number 4, if we're following a heavy accident off the highway, have to block lanes if it's stuff hanging off, oversized, whatever. I'm trying to create a system that anytime our red and blues come on, our office gets notified. That way I can keep track of that. But
one step GPS. I do have a device that will notify you when beacons come on, PTO comes on, or anything.
yeah, our camera system has the feature. I just got to get it wired right into our trucks.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working on.
All right. Hey, Carl. You have something to add to this, but you also have a knife in your hand, and I don't feel like getting monetized.
I also have a what?
A knife, and I
Yeah,
don't
you
feel
can.
like getting monetized.
Come on.
Is-
Thank you, sir. Your opinion on this?
My personal opinion, with me in Illinois, when I run my ambers, I am one, trying to be seen in a dark parking lot, etc. I'm blocking some type of lane, or they require me in Illinois when I've got anything on my stinger, aka a trailer, a car. I have to run my ambers.
Understandable, and that's all state by state, case by case basis, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we still, like I said, we still have to go over arriving on scene step by step, and dealing with complicated recoveries, pricing, low to high, and then we'll have general questions at the end of the stream, as always. Sorry, this stream is cut short, but you know, people here in the state of Utah apparently don't know how to drive, and we've had a lot of accidents. In fact, fun fact: this morning we had the entire I-15 for a 60-mile stretch shut down in both directions. It was a fun day. But without further ado, guys, much love. We will see you next Friday, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Come by, hang out, check us out. There will be next week, there will be a release for our website for the Guardian Angels and other products, as well as a link down below to join the Tow Talk Break Room Discord. If you're an operator or an emergency responder, you can feel free to join us for our next week's podcast. Much love, everybody. We will see you on the next one.